In the history of Irish crime, few names inspire as much fascination as Martin Cahill. To some, he was a criminal mastermind, a modern-day outlaw who outsmarted the authorities at every turn. To others, he was a ruthless gangster, whose violence and intimidation left a trail of fear across Dublin. Known as the General, Cahill masterminded some of the most audacious robberies Ireland has ever seen. He stole millions in jewellery, priceless works of art, and humiliated law enforcement again and again. Yet despite years of surveillance, countless investigations and a dedicated police task force, authorities struggled to put him behind bars. This is the extraordinary life of Martin Cahill, the rise, the crimes and the violent end of Ireland's most infamous criminal. Martin Cahill was born in Dublin in 1949. He grew up in the Hollyfield buildings, a tough inner city housing complex where poverty was a fact of life. He was one of 15 children. The family struggled constantly, and from an early age, Cahill learned that survival often meant breaking the rules. By his early teens, he was involved in theft and petty crime. At just 12 years old, he was sent to St. Conlet's Reformatory School in Dangan, County Offaly. The institution had a fearsome reputation. Many young offenders left hardened rather than rehabilitated, and for Cahill, the experience deepened his hatred for authority. When he returned to Dublin, crime became more than survival. It became a profession. Throughout the 1970s, Cahill built connections with some of the city's most notorious criminals. He developed a reputation for being fearless, unpredictable, and obsessively meticulous. Unlike many gangsters, Cahill wasn't interested in flashy displays of wealth. What fascinated him was the challenge, the planning, and the game itself. It was his military-style approach to crime that would eventually earn him the famous nickname, the General. By the early 1980s, Martin Cahill was already becoming a major figure in Dublin's underworld. Then he set his sights on a target many believed was impossible, the O'Connor jewellery factory in Harold's Cross. It was Ireland's largest jewellery manufacturer. Protected by some of the most sophisticated security systems in the country, the factory stored enormous quantities of gold, diamonds, emeralds, rubies and precious stones. Even the IRA had reportedly considered targeting it and decided it was too difficult. That only made Cahill more determined. For months he studied every detail. His gang obtained floor plans, they recruited an insider, they watched employee movements and security procedures. At one stage they even attempted to tunnel into the building from a nearby Greyhound stadium. When that failed, they simply developed a new plan. On the night of July 5th, 1983, Cahill gathered his gang in South Dublin. Disguised as a football team carrying sports bags, they headed for the factory. Hidden inside those bags were weapons, masks, handcuffs and burglary tools. Several gang members secretly entered an unalarmed boiler room and waited overnight. The following morning, as staff arrived for work, the gang struck. Employees were rounded up and held at gunpoint. The alarms were disabled, and for an hour the gang emptied the factory. When they left, they were carrying approximately £1.5 million worth of jewellery and gold. At the time, it was the biggest robbery in Irish history. The Gardaí immediately suspected Cahill, but suspicion wasn't evidence, and once again the General had slipped through their fingers. If the jewellery raid had established Cahill's reputation, the next crime would make international headlines. In 1986, he targeted one of the world's most famous stately homes, Rossborough House in County Wicklow. Inside was one of the most valuable private art collections in the world. The collections included works by Goya, Rubens, and most importantly, a priceless painting by Johannes Vermeer. Cahill became obsessed with the challenge. For weeks he visited the house disguised as an ordinary tourist. He studied security systems, mapped escape routes, and even built a hidden bunker in the Dublin mountains where the paintings would be concealed. On the night of the robbery, his gang triggered the alarm deliberately. Police responded, searched the property and found nothing suspicious and left. Only then did Cahill move in. His gang entered the house and stole 18 masterpieces worth tens of millions of pounds. The robbery shocked the art world. Interpol became involved. Authorities across Europe searched for the missing paintings. But once again, Martin Cahill had achieved the impossible. For years, the stolen artwork became one of the world's most famous missing collections. And by the 1980s, Martin Cahill was no longer simply a criminal. Officers followed him everywhere. They watched his house, photographed his movements and tracked his associates. The pressure intensified further after journalist Veronica Guerin began exposing Ireland's criminal underworld. Cahill's activities were now attracting attention far beyond Dublin. But despite constant surveillance, convictions remained frustratingly rare. His careful planning and strict discipline made him extraordinarily difficult to prosecute. Yet other dangerous conflicts were developing behind the scenes. One with the Provisional IRA. According to multiple accounts, tensions grew after disputes involving stolen goods and criminal operations. Eventually, the relationship deteriorated completely, and Martin Cahill found himself facing enemies far more dangerous than the police. On the afternoon of August 18, 1994, Martin Cahill climbed into his black Renault in Dublin's Ranelagh district. He never reached his destination, Witnesses later described seeing two suspicious men in the area. One waited on a motorcycle and another appeared to be watching traffic. As Cahill's car slowed near a junction, the gunman ran alongside the driver's side window and fired 5 shots. The general was hit repeatedly. His car crashed into a nearby garden wall, and the gunman calmly climbed onto a waiting motorcycle, and within seconds both men had vanished. Martin Cahill died at the scene. The IRA later claimed responsibility for the killing. The man who had spent years evading capture had finally been brought down, but not by the Gardaí, but by another organisation operating outside the law. Martin Cahill remains one of the most controversial figures in Irish history. He was brilliant, ruthless, calculating and deeply flawed. A criminal who embarrassed law enforcement. A mastermind who planned with precision. And a man whose legend often grew larger than reality. His life has inspired books, documentaries and the acclaimed film The General, starring Brendan Gleeson.